The Void Reaper had consumed 17 civilizations. Its massive form drifted through the debris field of what had once been the Kepler mining station, chitinous plates shifting as it processed the electromagnetic signatures of fear that still lingered in the vacuum. Each species it encountered had reacted predictably: panic, desperation, futile attempts at negotiation, then the sweet symphony of terror as their worlds burned. The creature's sensory organs evolved over millennia to detect the neural patterns of sentient life, suddenly flared with an unfamiliar reading. Something was approaching, something small, fragile, and utterly unafraid. Captain Sarah Chen guided her maintenance pod through the wreckage with practiced ease, humming an old Earth song under her breath. The resilience had sent her to salvage whatever tech they could from the station before heading back to human space. Command hadn't mentioned anything about the massive alien ship lurking in the asteroid field. But then again, they rarely told maintenance crews about the interesting stuff. The Void Reaper extended its consciousness toward the approaching vessel, expecting to taste the familiar cocktail of terror and despair. Instead, it found something unprecedented: curiosity, mild concern about meeting her salvage quota, and an odd contentment that came from working alone in space. Fascinating. The creature had encountered fear so often that it had forgotten other emotions existed. This small being radiated a complex mixture of feelings: determination, loneliness, hope, and something the Reaper couldn't quite identify. It decided to investigate. Sarah's proximity alarms chimed softly as something vast moved in her peripheral vision. She turned to see what appeared to be a living asteroid covered in eyes and reaching tendrils, each one the size of a city block. Any reasonable person would have fled screaming. "Well, hello there," she said, adjusting her headset. "You're certainly not in any of my identification manuals." The Void Reaper paused. In 17 civilizations, no one had ever greeted it. The neural patterns radiating from the tiny vessel showed increased alertness, but no terror. If anything, the creature detected what could only be described as politeness. Sarah examined the massive being through her pod sensors. "You look hurt," she observed, noting the scarred areas where weapons fire had left marks across its hull-like hide. "Someone's been shooting at you, haven't they?" For the first time in its long existence, the Void Reaper experienced confusion. This small creature, clearly intelligent, clearly capable of recognizing danger, was expressing concern for its well-being. The concept was so alien that the Reaper's neural clusters struggled to process it. "I'm Sarah, by the way," she continued, conversationally, maneuvering her pod closer. "I'm guessing you can understand me somehow, otherwise this is going to be a pretty one-sided conversation." She paused, considering. "Actually, even if you can't understand me, at least I'll have someone to talk to. It gets pretty quiet out here." The Reaper extended one of its smaller sensory tendrils toward her pod, moving with extreme care. Sarah watched it approach without flinching, though her heart rate did increase slightly. Not from fear, the Reaper realized, but from excitement. "Are you trying to communicate?" she asked. "That's wonderful. Here, let me..." She activated her pod's external speakers and began broadcasting a mathematical sequence: prime numbers, followed by the Fibonacci sequence, then basic chemical compositions. The gesture was so innocent, so hopeful, that something deep within the Void Reaper's ancient consciousness stirred. It responded with its own sequence, encoded in electromagnetic pulses, the same patterns, but extended further, demonstrating its understanding. "Oh my God, you are intelligent!" Sarah's joy flooded through space, so pure and genuine that the Reaper found itself pleased. Was that the correct term for this unfamiliar sensation? For the next several hours they communicated. Sarah shared mathematical concepts, stellar cartography, even music from her personal collection. The Reaper, in turn, revealed glimpses of its vast knowledge, the death songs of civilizations, the final transmissions of doomed worlds, the beauty it had found in entropy and destruction. But as it shared these memories, the Reaper began to see them differently. Through Sarah's reactions, it experienced something it had never felt before: remorse, her genuine sadness for the lost civilizations, her attempts to understand the loneliness that had driven it to seek connection through conquest. These emotions were as foreign to the Reaper as they were transformative. "You were just looking for someone to talk to, weren't you?" Sarah said quietly, after the Reaper had shown her the remnants of its homeworld. "All this time, all this destruction, you were lonely." The Reaper's massive form shuddered. In all its eons of existence, no one had ever tried to understand it. They had all seen only a monster, a force of nature to be fled from or fought. But this small human had looked deeper, had seen the ancient intelligence beneath the terrible exterior. "I have to go back to my ship soon," Sarah continued, glancing at her chronometer. "But would you like to come with us? Not to human space? I know that probably wouldn't work out. But there are empty systems out there, places where you could live without hurting anyone, places where we could visit, maybe bring others who would want to meet you." The offer hung in the vacuum between them. For the first time in millennia, the Void Reaper faced a choice that didn't involve destruction. It could continue on its path, consuming civilizations in a futile attempt to fill the emptiness inside, or it could try something unprecedented: friendship. "I'll take that as a maybe," Sarah said with a smile that the Reaper could somehow sense despite never seeing her face. "Think about it. The universe is big enough for all of us. We just need to be willing to share it." As Sarah's pod departed, carrying her salvaged components back to the Resilience, the Void Reaper remained motionless among the debris. The emptiness that had driven it across the galaxy for so long felt different now, not like hunger, but like possibility. 3 days later, long-range sensors detected an unprecedented sight. The most feared predator in known space was moving away from civilized sectors, heading toward the empty regions beyond the galactic rim. For the first time in recorded history, the Void Reaper was going home. And for the first time in its existence, it wasn't going alone. In its wake followed a small maintenance pod, its pilot humming Earth songs into the cosmic dark, ready to explore the possibility that even monsters could choose to be better. The universe, it seemed, was full of surprises,